Good day everyone. Welcome to Learn with MN. In this video, we'll learn about the snapping in Inkscape. Snapping helps objects click into the perfect position while you draw, move, resize, or transform them. Think of it like having invisible magnets in your drawing. When you move an object close to another object's corner, edge, guide, or grid line, it automatically sticks to that target. This way, you don't have to guess or eyeball placements, and your objects simply lock into position. The magnet icon at the top right corner is used to enable or disable snapping. You can also toggle it using the shortcut key Shift 5. Inkscape gives different snapping options. To access them, click this arrow next to the magnet icon. These options are divided into 3 main groups, and each group has its own items. To view them, click the Advanced Mode option below. This is the main snap toolbar. From here, you can turn an entire group on or off, or enable individual snapping options within it. You can also enable and disable the snapping here using this checkbox. If snapping is off, nothing will snap, even if all the other icons are enabled. Let's discuss each group one by one in detail. Before we go into the snapping options of each group in Inkscape, it's important to first understand what a snap point and a target point are. A snap point is the point on an object that actually moves when you drag, resize, or transform it. It's the active point that is searching for something to snap onto. On the other hand, a target point is the fixed point where the snap point will stick or align itself. It doesn't move, it's the anchor that receives the snap. In Inkscape, snapping happens when a snap point comes close enough to a target point. For example, here we move this small rectangle, so it snaps to the corner of this larger square. This point on the rectangle that moved and snapped is the snap point, and this corner of the square where it stuck is the target point. Depending on the snapping option, some options act as both snap points and target points, while others serve only as target points. In easy words, any option that is a snap point is also a target point, but an option that is only a target point is not necessarily a snap point. Let's discuss each in detail. The first group is bounding boxes. When you select any object, the dashed rectangle around the object is called the bounding box. When it is enabled, the objects snap according to the bounding box. Its options control which part of the bounding box you want to snap. Corners snap to the corners of the bounding box. When this option is enabled, the bounding box corners act as snap points. For example, if I move this circle closer to this rectangle, it locks perfectly onto the corner of the rectangle, like this. When a snap point is snapped to a target, you will see 2 things. First, a small cross will appear at the snapping spot, and second, next to this cross, a message will appear that indicates which snap point and target point were used. The first part of the message shows the snap point, and the second part shows the target point. In this case, it says bounding box corner to bounding box corner. Next are edges, which snap to the edges of the bounding box. Unlike corners, edges are not snap points, they are only targets. This means that if I disable everything, and keep only edges enabled, nothing will snap because we don't have any active snap points. To make it work, you need to enable a snapping point, like corners. Now, if I move the circle, you can see the bounding box corners snaps perfectly to the edge of the rectangle's bounding box. Edge midpoints snap to and from the middle of a bounding box edge. These act as a snap point. For example, you can snap from an edge midpoint to another edge midpoint, or from an edge midpoint to a corner, or even from a corner to an edge midpoint, like this. The center of bounding boxes works the same way. It acts as a snap point. For example, you can snap from center to center, or from center to corner, or from corner to center, like this. The second group is for nodes. When it is enabled, the objects snap according to the path and its nodes. Its options control which part of the path you want to snap. If you don't know about paths and different types of nodes, refer to its tutorial, its link is in the description. The first option is paths. This lets you snap not only to nodes, but also to any point along a path while drawing. A small black cross shows exactly where the snapping will happen. For example, if I start drawing a path and bring it closer to this curve, you can see how it snaps right onto the outline. If I turn this option off, there's no snapping at all. This is useful when you want to draw lines inside a shape, like this circle, without worrying that the lines will go outside. The second option is path intersection. This snaps to the point where two paths cross each other, or where a single path intersects itself. For example, here we have two paths crossing, and here this one path loops back and intersects itself. If I hover near any of these intersections, you'll see a black cross appear with the label handle to path intersection, showing exactly where the snapping is happening. The third option is cusp nodes. This snaps only to the corner nodes of a path. It does not snap to square or smooth nodes. For example, in this path, we have one square node, and the others are corners. With only cusp nodes enabled, snapping will happen only at the corners, not at the square node, like this. The fourth option is smooth nodes. This works the opposite way. It only snaps to the square and circle nodes that create a smooth curve. It won't snap to corners if this is the only option enabled. But if both cusp and smooth nodes are enabled, then all types of nodes can snap to each other, like this. Next is line midpoints. This option snaps to the exact middle of a straight line segment. It doesn't work on curves, it only works on straight paths, like this. Next is perpendicular lines. This option lets you draw a line or path that snaps at a right angle to another path. Instead of guessing the angle, Inkscape forces the line you're drawing to stay perfectly perpendicular. This option works when path snapping is enabled. The last option in this group is tangential lines. Tangential snapping makes your line snap exactly tangent to a curve. Think of a tangent in math. It's a straight line that touches a circle or curve at exactly one point, and goes off in a straight direction without cutting through it. In Inkscape, tangential snapping ensures the line you draw stays tangent to another path, curve, or circle. Like perpendicular snapping, it works when path snapping is enabled. The third group is other points. It has different options other than these groups. The first option here is object midpoints. This allows you to snap to the middle of any object. For example, if I enable it and move this circle over the rectangle, you'll see that it snaps perfectly to the rectangle's middle point. You might be wondering what the difference is between the bounding box center and the object's midpoint. Both represent the center point, but they behave differently when using nodes or drawing tools. In Inkscape, snapping for bounding boxes and nodes works separately, meaning a node can't snap directly to a bounding box point, and a bounding box can't snap directly to a node. They only snap within their own type. For example, disable object midpoints, enable bounding box with corners and center, and nodes with cusp nodes. Now, when you move this path closer to the rectangle, the corner of the path's bounding box snaps to the center of the rectangle, but the cusp node of the path does not snap to it. Similarly, when using the pencil tool, it snaps at the corners because those are cusp nodes, but there's no snapping at the center. To make nodes or drawing tools snap to the center of an object, the object midpoints option is used. If I enable it, you'll notice that it now snaps both to the cusp node of the path and to the pencil tool. This option works when snapping to nodes is enabled. The second option is Object Rotation Center. When you click twice on an unselected object, it switches to rotation mode, and the little plus sign you see in the middle is the rotation center. To learn more about this, refer to the Selector Tool tutorial, its link is in the description. With this option enabled, you can snap directly to an object's rotation center. The rotation centers are snap points. For example, here the rotation center is not at its default position, so if I bring this circle over it, it snaps perfectly to that point. You can also snap only rotation centers to each other, just like this. Keep in mind, I'm just showing what each option is designed to snap to. In practice, you can combine different snapping options together to get the results you need. Next, we have text baseline and anchors. The text baseline is the invisible line that letters sit on, and the anchor is the point where the text is attached to the canvas. This anchor also tells you the text alignment of the text, whether it's left, center, or right aligned, and where the baseline is positioned. Here, the anchor of this text is on the left side, which means the text is left aligned, and the other one is in the center, which means the text is center aligned. The baselines are target points only, and anchors are snap points. So, it will snap to the baseline and the anchor of the other text, like this. For example, if both cusp nodes and path snapping are enabled, and I move this text to the edge of the rectangle, it snaps perfectly in place, aligning the text baseline with the rectangle's edge. The last two options are masks and clips. If you're not familiar with masking and clipping, refer to their tutorial, its link is in the description. Masks and clips are both target points. These two options allow you to snap to the original shapes that were used for clipping and masking. If they're disabled, the shapes will snap before clipping and masking is applied, but afterward, there's no snapping. If I enable both masks and clips, now you'll notice that snapping works even after the shapes have been clipped or masked. The next group is alignment, and this one is probably the most important and most commonly used group. That's because it works like smart guides in Inkscape. It helps you align objects directly on the canvas while moving them, without having to open the Align and Distribute panel. For example, if I enable alignment and move this rectangle, you'll notice it shows me smart snap guides that make it easy to line things up. Here, the red dot in the center of the green rectangle lines up perfectly with the red dot in the center of the blue rectangle, which means they're vertically center aligned. Similarly, if I move it again, you'll see the red lines guide me to align it as per need, like this. The first option here is nodes in the same path. This lets you align nodes along the same path directly on the canvas. For example, if I enable this and edit this path with the node tool, you can see the smart guides in blue, helping me align the nodes perfectly on the canvas. The second option is same distances. This one helps you distribute objects evenly on the canvas, again without using the Align and Distribute panel. For example, these two rectangles already have a certain gap between them. Now, if I bring in another rectangle and move it nearby, the smart snap guides show me when the distance between the rectangles is exactly the same. Like this. So, the alignment group is great for quick and simple alignments and distributions directly on the canvas. For larger and more complex alignments, the Align and Distribute panel is still the best option. To learn more about the Align and Distribute panel, refer to its tutorial, its link is in the description. Next is grids. A grid in Inkscape is a network of lines laid over your canvas, usually in squares or sometimes in isometric angles. It helps you align and size objects precisely. This option lets you snap to the grid's intersection points. However, to make it work, two things are essential. First, the page grid must be enabled. You can enable it from Document Properties. Second, grids are also target points, so you will need at least one snap point to be enabled. For example, if I hover over the grid here, you can see it snapping to each intersection point. You can also move objects precisely over the grid using grid snapping. Right now, it's only snapping to the intersections. But if you also want to snap directly to the grid lines, enable the Gridlines option. Now you can see, it snaps to both the intersections and the lines, like this. To learn more about the grids in detail, refer to its tutorial, its link is in the description. Next are guidelines, or guides. Guides are custom helper lines that you create by dragging them out from the rulers. You can place them anywhere, horizontally, vertically, or even rotate them to any angle. They help you snap objects along specific directions. To make this work, first create some guides, and second, the guides are target points, so you also need at least one snap point enabled. As you can see here, the object is snapping perfectly to the guides, like this. To learn more about guides in detail, refer to its tutorial, its link is in the description. Next is page borders. This option lets you snap to the borders of the page. If I enable it, you can see that objects snap all around the page borders and corners. For example, if I draw a rectangle, it easily snaps to the page edges, and lets you create a perfect background exactly the size of the page, like this. The last one is page margins. Page margins are set using the Page tool to define spacing along all four sides. This option lets you snap objects directly to those margin lines. We have explained each option separately so you can clearly understand the purpose and difference of each one, and what kind of snapping it enables. But in practice, you can turn on multiple options at the same time to get combined snapping results based on your needs. So, explore them, try different combinations, and experiment to discover more possibilities. For now, that was all for this video. If you have any queries, feel free to write in the comments section or contact us on our website, its link is in the description. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss any updates. Thank you for watching.